Hello, I'm Frank, and I'm an artist. I make my living as an artist, and I live my life through my art. When I'm at my absolute best and I'm in my studio and I'm creating, my absolute best work comes when I'm inspired. I make a lot of work, but the best, the most potent stuff I make is when I'm inspired. I'm driven by an inspiration, possibly a visit from the muse, but it's because I'm driven by something outside myself, an energy outside myself. I think it's happened to everybody here. You've been inspired by something, a performance, a vocalist, a musical, because I love a good musical, and the music that you just heard, very inspiring. It resonates through you. It creates a vibrational energy that comes in and resonates inside. It's happened to everybody here. I know it has. You leave the performance, you go home. The real question is, what do you do after that? The 5 minutes, the 10 minutes after you feel that moment of inspiration. You're in the audience, somebody starts singing, possibly you're in an art gallery or an art show, and you see a piece of art on the wall, and you have a physiological reaction to it. The hair on your arm stands up. Maybe your pulse quickens a little bit, but you understand that there's a connection there. Because that's what we do. We connect through art and through those type of resonant vibrations. It's a universal energy that exists in the universe. It causes the muse to visit. It causes us to create. The question is, what do you do? What do all of us do after that? Well, for artists, we kind of figured things out. We run to our studio. We take copious amounts of notes. We know what this thing is. It's a familiar voice to us. What does everyone else do, though? I can tell you, as an artist, the experience of making the transition from, am I really an artist or am I not? And it takes a while. It took a while for me. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I just knew that I didn't really belong. I didn't feel like I belonged. And so once I started to make the transition, things started to sync up a little bit. I understood. I thought I understood. I started making motions towards understanding. I'd be working, and I worked construction for a long time, and I'd be trying to handle this flow of creativity. And I'd be on a construction site, and I'd be trying to make sketches of things I think were coming to me. And I'd hear my boss or my foreman be like, hey, get to work, man. What are you doing? Get to work. And I'd finish the sketch and take this piece of scrap wood out to my car and throw it in the back, and then I'd get back to work, right? The question is, what do you do? Do you go home? Go back to your house? Oh, look, it's late. I gotta get up early. I gotta go to work tomorrow, right? Do you understand that this resonant energy that started with that performance, that piece of art that you saw, that it started long before the person who performed? It started before them. They were inspired. They built that performance for somebody like you to get it. Does the inspiration stop with you? Do you make it stop there? I think in our culture we're taught about transactions. Not literally, but you figure you go to see a music act, you buy this ticket, you see the performance, you go home. It doesn't have to stop there. You don't have to be just a consumer, because that's certainly what it seems like. We buy a lot of stuff, I get that. But you can also be the conductor. You can be a conduit. You can keep that energy going by inspiring other people. If you're at work, if you get an inspiration, do you go into your boss's office and say, hey man, something came up, and so I'm gonna get out of here, but I'll be back tomorrow, we'll get it. Don't worry about it. I'll be back tomorrow. And then you go to your studio and you create, or you go to the hardware store, Mike, it's the metal shop. You go to the art supply store and you start to create, because that is your work. That's what you are here for. That work that you're leaving, it's gonna be there. Guaranteed. You'll come back tomorrow, you'll pick it up. I understand that you got to pay for stuff. You got to pay for rent. You got to put gas in your car. You got to buy clothes and food. That's what that job is for. But your real authentic self craves this creative force. So do you go back to your studio and you create? You make something great so that you can keep this vibrational energy going. I think we're taught in our culture to compartmentalize the parts of our life, the sections of our life. We have our work life, we have our play life, school, possibly church. But there's really no place for this inspiration. My feeling is that the inspiration, the place for it, is around everything. Hey man, you can leave work. You can call in sick and stay in your studio and work. The muse visits, man, you gotta hang on to that. You gotta make that happen. Because there's no better way to create a positive disruption than being your true, authentic self in a culture that largely does not recognize or understand or cannot really process true authenticity. There was a time when I was making the transition from being a construction worker, being a carpenter, and I enjoyed it, right? But I understood that it really was just to get to Friday, and then the next Friday, because you get paid on Fridays, and that's great. And it feels great when you get that paycheck. But, I mean, that's really, like I said, that's only really going to pay for your rent. It's going to buy you clothes. It's only going to get you so far. And the thought of having another guy say to me, hey, get to work. Hey, dude, I get work, right? All I've ever done, all most of us ever do is work. I understand work. I don't always understand the point. I don't understand why inspiration is not treated with much more value than it is. We're looked at as employees. I get that. We have bigger work. We have a bigger job here as people, as creators. We have a bigger job. There's a larger message here, which is follow your true, authentic self. So I'd just like to say, in closing, I have a couple things to say. I just said it, but I want to say it again. There's no better way to create a positive disruption in a culture that largely doesn't understand authenticity or doesn't value authenticity than by being truly authentic. I'd also like to say, get to work. Thank you.